even the school system itself is very different how they arrange the school system to meet the demands of the current trends in education. And then inclusive education practices. All of these are in the Journal of Education, Third Education, American Development Bank, Telecom have those the resource. Not resource, sorry, the sources for these. All right, professional learning models. The innovative training that you can look at. First, I mentioned hybrid already, which you can be online or you can do in person, but streamline the training for different people who need different things that they don't do everybody, don't give everybody the same thing. You can do it in person as well. One of the things that we don't see happening in Caribbean a whole lot is using the human resources in the schools. If a teacher is good at something, let the teacher lead a workshop and do a survey in the school. Pick up about five different teachers. You're good at math strategies, you're good at reading strategies, you're going to want something with cost management. Um, do a PDD. You don't have to invite anybody. You don't have to invite anybody. Just do a PDD, pick three people. You're doing reading strategies, you're doing that, you're doing that. Ask them to lead the workshop and learn from within the community. Yeah. Well, even like different forms. The next is one of our mistakes. Right, that's some ways that we need to work around. Online learning platforms, mentioned that already, in-person workshop with the software, peer collaboration sessions, and micro-learning modules. Micro-learning modules is something that briefly some people are actually doing this, but they don't really call it that. Where you hear about a workshop somewhere in the student, you get those put it up on your portfolio. You hear, you do it, and you put it up on your portfolio. These little micro learning modules that we do is very effective. At the end of the year, when you look at how much you have done in different areas, it's remarkable. And it adds to your value as an educator. Um, what was I going to say? Something missed. Anyway, it could come back. Collaborative learning networks, the regional collaboration initiatives, which is cross-island knowledge sharing, and I mentioned that earlier. We need to share more knowledge, intellectual knowledge, also personnel, get them to in or to come in person. It's not true. Most packages are even more expensive than what you see from here. It's really ridiculous. So that's very political and very crazy. I understand that. That is, but we have Zoom that we can share human resources across and also intellectual resources. Share it across the region. Virtual professional learning communities. We started that in our organization for everybody to come to the conferences and you join the learning community, international learning community, and sharing resources. We're about to share some more and also use the people that are in our network in America and in Europe to do just simply the workshops online and invite them to be a part of those workshops virtually in the network. Mentorship programs, and these mentorship programs have to do with teachers in the school, it can be within the school, or teacher school, or teacher school as well. Collaboration and feedback. Okay. Alright, we're almost finished with the first part here, with teacher professional development strategies. Technology integration in teacher training is about 72% integrated in institutions using digital professional development tools. And this is in general, it's from UNESCO in 2023. In general, 72%. It has been up because of COVID, it has been up, it increased. So that's a positive right there. We're seeing how ways to go. Key platform features include personalized been offered, real-time performance tracking, interactive training modules, and professional portfolio development has been happening to some degree. So this is positive, positive with technology. The next thing is continuous improvement mechanisms. In this sense, the structure that we need to have in place for our teachers and for our principals in terms of continuous improvement. We usually have in place this, what do you call it? The term slipped me now, but if after we drop them tomorrow morning, who will take over from me and do they know right? Thank you. Successful power. Yeah, so we need that in place all the time, and we need to know all the information or the position. Many people now they're position. For me, no friends, nobody else. You cannot work like. We know we have people out there that don't really have your best interests at heart. But you need a group that really believes in your goals and the goals of the organization and to work with those people. We cannot operate in silo a lot. We cannot. Because when we pass, it's going I don't now talk about death now, pass through the system, move on to something greater and happier, then somebody else has to continue with this. So one of the things I admire about JTA and Caribbean, teachers, and I share with you about JTA structure, international too, is that that succession plan is very strong. Yeah, it's very good. I wish a lot of people would have that type of structure so that the longevity of the organization will stay. Comprehensive assessment frameworks for the profession, comprehensive assessment frameworks for them, regular skills competency evaluation, to evaluate skills among each other, and data-driven implementation strategies. If you do this, some more, we can do some more research on that. Um, the challenges that we're seeing though, and these are identified barriers to the professional development. Funding with no money, financial person can have limited training resources in smaller projects. The nation professional development challenges have to be resistance to technology integration. We'll talk about that. For some people doing hands up and don't want to be a part of it. Comprehensive training and the very literacy level. It really needs, we need more of the literacy part in technology. Move to the next one because I want to get to okay. Investment, we're slides away from where. Investment and support. We look at professional development investment and according to the data, it's about 2 to 3%, which is very low. The average regional investment in education for the budget. Every time the governments across the region brings about it's about 2 to 3% for towards educational initiative. And that is based on the International Monetary Fund in 2022. And then the other thing, which is the International Development Support Programs and the public private partnership initiatives, that's according to United Nations. That we need more of those. It's not happening on a large scale. The public-private partnership training initiative. So the future development strategies. These are the emerging trends that we see happening. Emerging trends. Artificial intelligence in teacher training is starting to take some root in the Caribbean, and this has to do with adaptive learning technology, personalized skill development algorithms, virtual reality training, simulations, and I see it happening in some of the workshops that have been in the Caribbean here. Maybe comprehensive-based program learning to the level of credentialings and about the micro learning is similar to the continuous skill evaluation. And it's like happening. There is no speaking across Caribbean provinces. And you can have more conversations around that certification for teacher. Some level professional qualification that I mentioned about that. So you do here and there, you do certificates in different areas and stack them up in your personal portfolio. Um, the yeah, the other thing that I remember now, I was gonna say is as educators, we need to go more education stay on forward area of education because schools are very good at things that you do not teach. You might teach math or reading or so on, but you're very good at maybe decoration. You can decorate a hall. You can do some plumbing or electrical work. You yeah get some certification in those areas as well. So if things happen around the school, you don't have to pay for that. You or when you pay, you don't for that. Okay? You're good at that already. You so that. One of the things I have be involved in that sport with education is not because of my teaching. It's because of my need to technology that I was really doing was long before it happened. And then it struck, I started doing that for schools in DC and in Florida and in then it was I did not learn. Even to learn you said, oh, the only one that I have from Catholic it's a certificate in information technology in 2005. And that was it. And I said, I like this thing because I can very people with it. So when people were using to teach, I was using it to check in with my friend in Japan, find out how we set up calls, and assign some students work with Google Classroom. And I said, did I understand how to do this? I'm here and submit it as fun. I was really for fun. And then this thing happened in February, March 2000. I heard in DC, I was working in DC at the time, and everybody saying the pandemic is coming. And that was when somebody got infected in California. And people are like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're panicking. And then it dawned on me and said, we could meet people and some many of our people. And we said, I said, we could teach them online. And somebody said, no, we can't. We've never done that. So I just walked out and I called up people, not all of them, just like in whoever willing to do it. We called up the parents. I said, we're going to teach your kids online. Well, that device, some people didn't even have a device. That's hard, right? And we got the people who could go online, went online as a talent program, was really important to start. We're just really trying to really where we're doing. And it took off and it's 180 people in that one school. And then when we went on school, and my Zoom account, it was free, 40 minutes free. I couldn't, and it's 100 people, I couldn't have many people on there, and I said, I'm not paying for this. So I had up to 4 sessions per day, jump pack, outnumbered, and so I had to do it on the weekends. And it took off from there where people started training, getting training. So outside of your area, you should do something. Not just cook for your family. We know you're good at it. Food is delicious. You're very good at something. All right, I'm gonna pass on to Julie here from here because I think you're tired of my voice. No. Oh, she's gonna talk. She's gonna talk. That's the extrovert in this couple, so I'm going to get straight to what I need to say. It was a pleasure to all of you in this presentation, and it's skill passions. The dissertation that takes place when you just listen to a lecture, right? Things to not be on your device, right? So it's very hard for adults to do it, much less children.
with all the energy that they have, right, to be able to focus. So this is a model that we use in our organization. Is that we engage so that you can they can participate and integrate what it is typically that you've learned. Because as we know, unless you're integrating what you learn, you will lose it, right? You won't remember anything. And so I want to just start by saying that as educators in all the different variations that are in here, we're all committed to students. And the idea of being committed to students is we're really committed to the success of our nations and the success that our students can achieve as individuals. The reason why this is important is because a lot of us forget why we're doing this work. And the fact is we are trying to build an outcome. The outcome is ideal citizens, citizens that are capable of being able to take over where we left off, right? And do way better than we are. Now, technology can be very intimidating because the idea is it forces us to feel like we're in competition. But most of us aren't using it in a way that's productive for learning. We're using it for socialization. We're not using it for what people have raised here today, for the collaboration that it provides. The sharing of information is so easy on WhatsApp. Curriculum ideas, books, whatever the different resources are that you can just share with each other. But we're in this mindset that we believe that we're competing with the person next to us when we're actually competing with the world. The idea that you're just in your island and limited by the barriers, that keep you in that island, that's one. Okay, you have to understand that your students are against international students, which is why in our organization we bring people into the best schools that focus on international learning. And you will see in that classroom, I don't know if I have time to bring up one of our testimonies, but the fact is that the whole learning process is switched. The students are leading that conversation about what they're learning. So let's get into the nitty gritty about problem solving. How do we better get to understand the students and the situations that face us? So I'm going to ask first, I want you to think about a situation where, and somebody's going to need to raise their hand and respond. Okay, I don't want to beg you. I will pick someone, and you will have to answer. So, a situation that you had solved, that you collected data, and what kind of data you collected? What was the situation, and what data did you collect in order to solve that school-based problem? Just think about it for a second, because we want a good example. I'm sorry, did you say something? Okay, you want to think out loud? Um,
Well, a few years ago, I had a particular class. I inherited a particular class that had a lot of behavior issues. So I had no choice but to observe. So it's qualitative. It's not quantitative, it's qualitative data. Consistent. I just spent about 2 weeks observing students, how they would behave, how they would react in certain situations. And from that, I had to build a platform of a series of steps and things to do to manage and to reverse that behavior.
That's the next example that we can all relate to behavioral problems. And you also made a point that I think is very important to recognize. Um, she specifically said that was qualitative data. Now, a lot of people think that the quantitative data, the assessment data, that's what we're most familiar with. But the qualitative data is what explains the quantitative data. Because when you have a situation where you have behavioral problems, a variety of situations with that child at home, mental health, food deprivation, whatever the case is, will impact. Well, this kid is not living in school. It's not a comprehensive view. So that's an excellent example. Anyone else want to provide an example of when they use data? to solve a problem in their school, at the school level. Thank you. Yes. Yes. So when I first was assigned to my school, I realized that we need some music missing from Princeton, understood. And so I realized that there was a really missing generally throughout the school. And so I see some help and I sought some help and I know a well-known person who do assessments, reading diagnostic assessments, and I looked at the youth, it was very alarming. And so showed some of the things and asked, is it possible that I can come teach a reading assessment teaching a reading diagnostic, you know, to help intervention from the students and so I did not get it, but I got someone who I got someone who could assist me. And so I used my library movie assignment to this opportunity was to present to the street. That was what Mrs. Slade That's it. Excellent point. And see, a lot of people are, oh, we're going to have a follow. But I just want to say that a lot of people didn't value data when they started hearing it. It was this catchphrase that they were hearing throughout education all the time. They were very intimidated by it, and they always thought about quantitative data. But the fact is that because again, you have to think about your system on an international scale, that the resources that are given to you may not just be available to you within your education industry. It can also be available to you other initiatives around the world. There is money out there. There is money out there. But you can't convince anyone to give it to you unless you have concrete data to show the need. And there are a lot of people who also believe in education because they're thinking about their future. They're thinking about the future of their country. And they want to invest in these students. Without the data that fully explains your issue, you cannot build what she said, credibility. Nobody's going to believe you. Everybody's right. The only thing you got, the first thing that they see is unless you have data, you just have one opinion. And opinions we all have. So that doesn't give us anything. So just keep that in mind. You wanted to add? Yes, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Morning. It's okay, we're here. We're here. You should know. Yes. I took up an assignment, principal of a school in the Southern Grenadine Islands. And during the first week, I started to look at a lot of things because it's a completely different culture. One of the things I observed, that group of students in grade 4 who were constantly repeating. I had to look at the teaching, how it was done as an instructional leader. I gathered information from that. I look at how the assessment was done. One of the findings, these students were not really up to the average level. They were actually below. And a lot of the assessment were more structured questions. What is that? What is that? I mean, some of these questions will be easier to mark. And then I examine what is happening to this school. It's one of my philosophies that I manage school and exclude the parents. So I established contact with the parents. I saw that part of this thing. And one of the things that stood out, these group of boys, they would come in the morning. Sometimes you don't see them in the afternoon. So I was looking at the attendance and vice versa. And what they were actually doing, I had to put a value on it. And that is, most of these students who are living in single parent homes, attended by females. So they were like the father figure in there's a fishing company.
So in the afternoon, when he was there, they were going to fish. They were bringing money and food. So I put a value on that. So I had a conversation and I said, your education is equally important value. So I had an arrangement with the parents that they come to school, we put all the support mechanisms in place. We got help from the Ministry of Social Development, provided whatever they need. And then the arrangement with that, I will go and fish with them after school. And interestingly, you see boys, they catching fish, and I'm not catching, but I'm getting fish. And whoa.
Yes, and you brought up a very good point. Thank you. Yes, as educators, as leaders, we have a rubric, we have requirements. This is the information that these kids need to learn, and that becomes a priority. But we're dealing with individuals, just like each and every one of us. We're dealing with individuals, and so we have to see them and treat them as such. Now, another thing that was a great opportunity to also integrate in their learning. How much are you catching? What the value of that is? How much would you make if you sold that? And when you sell it, what are the benefits of that in society? Connect the learning in the classroom to their lives. A lot of students are in school and they don't know why they're learning these things. They feel very abstract. They feel very alien to them. And with all of the information they're getting through social media, they're no longer willing just to sit and listen to you because you've got competition. You've got information that is targeting them because the information that they look at gets resent to them in bulk. So now they're learning very specific, narrow areas of knowledge, and you're no longer interested. But you are in place to make sure that they succeed. You have to become interested. So you have to integrate and use your creative thinking to make sure that what you're learning makes sense to them in their world. And that's when you get into differentiated instruction, culturally responsive education. Ms. Lloyd said earlier, the idea that we need to be focused on decolonized education. And this is another keyword that came up with, the same as data. Decolonizing education is a critical part of reaching that individual child, right? And I have a very good story that I use when I think about the decolonization experience, because a lot of us, in the Caribbean, we're like, oh, well, it's to us. Well, let me tell you this little story. A frog was interviewing a fish. As you know, frogs could be in water and outside of water. And he's trying to figure out, I want to see whether or not it's better to live on land or in the water. So he says to the fish, he says, hey, you get your food. Oh, the food drops in the water. What do you see? Oh, that's some sort. Whoops. Always in the water.
Yes.
Water. For so long.
Right.
On South Malaysia. That is the Caribbean experience with colonial education. You don't know that you're having colonial education because you've always had it. Everybody before you have had it. And there's nothing wrong with education from the colonial perspective. It has to be balanced. It has to include your history, that child's history, the history of the world, other people's history, in a substantive, meaningful way where we can understand ourselves as global citizens and respect each of us. And that has to be deliberate. It's not something that just comes. It's a way of teaching. It's a way that has to start with the educator because the educator's role is to connect the world to the learning. Very important. And so, that being the case, one of the activities that I wanted to do with you, and you're already in groups, is I want someone to, in your group, to identify what are the challenges to collecting data in your schools. And do not say technology. Because what we're trying to do is show you that you have resources that you're not using. Okay? So is it the staff not being aware of the balance and tools and resources to collect data? Is it that we don't know what data to collect? That we don't know what's valuable? Well, here are leaders in here that are already doing it in somewhat silos. Everybody's story was individual story. And hear anyone my leadership. Ryan Paul, that strong teacher. Right? That's actually the gentleman saying he involved parents. Because in an education community, we have multiple stakeholders. You have even the shop stores in the community. You have the elderly that are at home not doing much that can be participating in the education. Because literacy is not just English literacy, it's understanding language. So we're already behind the ball in the sense when we're using English as a standard. Again, another situation where we're using colonial education is similar. A lot of students are coming into the classroom learning English for the first time when they start school. But yet they're treated as if they've been speaking English all the time without teaching them in a way that recognizes the language they come from and the new language we're losing an opportunity to teach their literacy in their understanding of the world. We're losing learning. Parents who participate in learning if you would only acknowledge the value of the language they speak and how they communicate. But my family is Louisiana and Jamaican. I grew up in the United States. And when I went back to Jamaica, because I spoke mostly to my female Jamaican relatives, I didn't understand anything any man was saying. It was like they was, I did not, I was like, do they speak? Like, I don't recognize men talking at all, so that's a problem. But what I did understand is, what I did understand is that I understand it now. It's hard to say before the letter, of course. But well, what kids understand is the way that they express their ideas in which were interesting. And so, I mean, honestly, you could tell somebody off in English with like a couple of bad words. Oh, wow.
For one. For one. For us? Yeah.
So, I mean, you actually learn how to understand.
Look at it.
Sure,
If what? Hello, good day. Am I hearing you clear? Morning. Uh-huh. Yeah, teachers are up there. Yeah, it should be. I'm not there at the moment, but it should be. And special security. Special security. Yesterday. Sorry.
I did how they were using the language ended up making a connection between the Haitian Creole and the Chilean Creole. They were actually formulating the phrases the exact same way. I was shocked. This is a connection that we have as world citizens. When I went to France, I was living with a family from Cameroon, and the Cameroon grandparents.
Yeah, security up there. But remember, two different security units. Remember, special security in the world up in the phone. Remember, a sunrise. So somebody was at, it's,
Wordsworths. In Cameroon, Cameroon halfway into Congress. That's so many of them she's out before. And they were speaking a dialect that they only speak when they don't want the other people to understand. And I ran up to them so excited, not knowing that they didn't want me to understand either. But I might sound, I don't try to tell you. Here's a lot. Must understand you. That sounds just like the language they speak in Jamaica. I said, how is this possible? Why? Because I didn't like to either. I didn't know what was going on. And then I said, tell us what we said. Was going to challenge me next and told them. They left the house. After that, they walked out of that specific and we're talking about Trevor Bell. But you know how exciting that was? I was so excited. You telling me that you went to Cameroon and talked to all the old words? Full capacity, so that they want to learn, so that they want to be involved. Now, everybody wants to make money. All these little people want to make money. Find a way to engage them in whatever it is you're doing. What is the cost of that? How is that as far as building a plan? Use that in what is it, creative writing. Do a business. Why not? You have your little people come in and say, hey, I designed this plate, I'm selling it for this amount to my church. There are many of ways that you can integrate this learning. Okay? So I'm glad I got most of you off your cell phones. This is going to be end of my presentation, but as you can tell, we have a lot. And we have a lot of information that we would like to share with you and to continue to share between you. So thank you very much for having us again. And just come and talk to me anytime and definitely look us up. Vancouver International and regional. We're very personal and we see you as a part of our family and we look forward to working with all.
Yeah, about there are two people mentioned about two conferences. One of them is the Men in Education Conference. Regional, it's RMEC, RMEC, Regional Men in Education Conference. And we're working with the CUT, with the Caribbean teachers, to provide that one, to host that one in late June, somewhere middle to late June. And we have our regular annual school leaders conference, school leaders conference in March in New York State, in Miami. So the flyers are on your desk. Uh, we want to answer questions regarding men, the men's conference. Exactly, it's going to be the Eastern Caribbean. Caribbean Eastern Caribbean. To give you an overview about it is what we looked at over the past 2 years. Like we have been planning this and trying to get others of sure that we're seeing as good. We so we have this not really mean our company and start so yeah. Many things breathing. So we decided that we would engage the CMC on our work to this partnership. So the Caribbean Union teachers are going to provide the logistics around the hosting of the conference somewhere in Eastern Caribbean. And we are providing the workshops, the teachers are to do workshops, getting them from to mostly the US and a few from England to get them to come to the Caribbean and provide this for primarily for men. So that's going to be and I just want to grab on situation. We were going today and it's started by dear friend out there, George Smith. Who's going to be doing that in the Jamaican participators. Yes. And pretty much take a life, right? And in fact, this is a two words. From the that Emma Run. And I didn't know when we went to meetings like met my husband and saw that yeah, plus all men males can be your friends. It's fascinating because they're not participants. That's something that was so leadership conference. That's very quickly. We did it for the first time say in introduce school leaders to other school leaders
in our respective networks. And Dr. Dice has a lot of network connections in New York. So we're hoping to continue this collaborative exchange. It's a combination of obviously in person as well as Zoom presentations and a lot of exchanges and opportunities to network with other leaders and for the sole purpose of learning.
Yeah, and lastly, before we take the questions, I was talking to Dr. Anderson and the others from the Teachers College, and we decided because we realized that they have a lot of executive workshops to go to whenever they're going to their conferences. So we heard you, Dr. Anderson, and on their brethren from Jamaica. So one of the what do you call it, two tracks. So one of the tracks for the conference that is coming up, we're partnering with the Borough of Manhattan Community College and the NYU to provide that level of engagement with principals from the community colleges across the Caribbean and students from the Caribbean so that they have like not just K-12 principals and K-12 principals and you know, no, they're not principals or assistant principals, but senior teachers as well can be a part of it. So, but it's gonna be yeah, 70. It's gonna lot of a wide range of people in that field. Yes. So you're gonna hear more. Wait, before you let's ask if there's any yeah, one question. Any question based on what you said, or if you had questions before, just one of those, you can probably make it a complex question. So that's yeah. Go on. Yes. One question. Hold on. You want to hold? Yeah. Okay. So, everyone, we said in our schools are doing that than the public school. And you started like why business. So yes, we have a lot of ideas why this so but one of them is the way that public school education system is arranged is very different from private school. Private schools have flexibility around the structure, just the structure. Private school has a more flexible structure and demand more of the students on a personal relationship level with the parents and the students. In public school, what I see across from Jamaica to Florida to DC to New York City now is that the students are coming to school. There's very high attendance rate, but it's the way that the teaching and learning is structured in that public school system is different from the way it's structured. There's also one other one that I really want to share with you that is the teacher I don't want to say teacher quality but the demand on teachers to provide excellent service to students and also engage parents is a lot more serious in private school than in public school. Public school in general is in here, oh, I just want them here. We just want them in school, the students. But in private school, they want them to be here and they want them to produce learning. So it's to have this engagement with the parents. So there are many more, but those are some really key parts of the religion structure and religion.
So you know that in public school, everybody can go, whereas in private school, it's a selective process, right? Not only do you have to usually take an exam, or that child has to take an examination to get in, but also you have to usually get interviewed, get parts in private school education that narrows the community of students that are in that school. And so just getting in is they come in with the confidence that they need to know that they're in the place that they need to be to get better. So that's not where a lot of public school students start. They don't come in with that confidence. They immediately discipline. They're immediately put in a structure where they need to apply. And that is because mortality is very different. Research shows that in public schools that have adopted programs that treat their students as essentially scholars and give them the confidence of understanding that they are valued, those kids perform better in a public school situation than those that are strongly and heavily disciplinary. So I actually extended they choose you as if you're equal as best as they can. And they give you a lot of opportunities to do what it is that you would do in a provider situation. For example, we have projects every it's starting to bring with others every year that we're working with. Well, say you started with the SIS, let's say you started with the song, and you have the patient, you have identified you have to identify you have to set everything, but it's in each day what we've done. That's a lot of work for that. It's been great. This seeing everything there also pursuing what you said and you can listen to this kind of comments like this students. We are going to like and the focus is on statistics that are data. Individually competing that. That's the major difference, I would say, between private school and public school education.
Yeah, very.
Thank you. I just want to make a data. You made a point about some of the various challenges with the data. And I want to put this in our context, civics and grand means. Because a lot of time you hear UNESCO, IMF, ILO, or international agencies, they come out with a lot of these information. But there are also some missing or hidden pieces. Um, you hear people say, okay, COVID, yes, genuine. Sometimes it's being used as a scapegoat. The natural disaster, in the case of Simmons and Grains, we had a volcanic eruption followed by sin. I don't think COVID was actually, but we have the last 40 years of that. Not to forget, but about the very powerful the last you have year insurance. But what happens is that you are not hearing governments even the context of savings and grants have shown that approximately 11% of our teachers were hired as a manager. And it's only more qualified from grade zero to those elections. And when you filter the alarms, they said only 3% were replaced. And qualified people. Now we would have 5% because of economic pressures. Teachers are fees. So another thing that we have to see when those people involved with sort and so on. See, there's a difference is human because his political climate, I'm not saying that climate is populist. And that's a significant figure. He said that to get some data from those who have crossed the bridge, those who have migrated, or who have arrived to come to the status of the hierarchy of the edge. You know, like, yeah, they're speaking a different language than I'm talking. Yeah. Individual contributing a blended new across the US. You know, three take away. Four and there's a people. I don't know what the region, but within my country, Jamaica, the government likes him, neighborhood, so feel that one. What happened to feel that? But this is probably one fundamental thing I would think about. One, um, in terms of teacher quality is very high. Your ability to teach me a lot about what's similar skills that teachers now. Yeah, and keep forgetting that the success governance of field properly best in your in education. What about particularly the whole is where we go to that gives education of the board best in your education. Right? And I've always said there's no country that has a world class education. It's not. That does not include teachers that salary that will have that people they have to do with the and after the security for something. Yet I will be very well problem units. The goal. So to get them to understand it, like they must invest in education. How do you know that you want to change survive this one? Provide incentive. Massive hierarchy, so for himself. Before the planning skills across the region is very low. Yeah, all right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dwayne. That's about giving all of that so that I can give. And on behalf of the curriculum teachers 2024 education, we would like to offer this also or shape. What's the network, right? 10 minutes. There's tea, there's tea and coffee. Yes. of such I like to enjoy was 2 points on a workout after he's gonna agree. Welcome. I'll also give a reading of fish that also the flying thing after like yours. Enjoying my places. Dr. Peter Green is an educator for the field and presently serves the capacity as director of education. She is a former deputy principal of the Pearl Secondary School and former principal of the Clare Hall Secondary School, 10 years. She served as a job lecturer at the LTSA College, teacher education department for 17 years. She was presently a job lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Five Islands, Hamburg. She has served on several education committees for NCA Barbuda and facilitated several workshops throughout the Caribbean. She was a theatre moderator for 10 years and has served a large part of her career assisting youth students to improve their skills and professional ethics appropriate to the classroom. Dr. Green earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Education from Skidmore College, a Master's degree in Technology from Walden University, and holds a doctoral degree from the Walden University of Educational Administration and Management. Dr. Green is married to her mentor and inspirer, Dr. Colin Green, principal of the Princeton Rock School, and has 3 children, CJ, Chennai, Shadua. She describes her 31 years of marriage as being the best years of her life. Her children are full of support and encouragement. Dr. Green is one of the former witnesses and dedicates her life to Christian ministry. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Green. I'll also quickly read the biography of Dr. Lloyd, who will be joining us via Zoom. Dr. Lloyd George is a senior lecturer in mathematics education at the University of the West Indies on campus. She coordinates undergraduate and graduate mathematics programs and holds degrees from UNIMONA, UniCato, and the University of South Africa. With over 25 years of experience, Dr. George has won accolades including the 2023 Principals Research Award and Commonwealth Scholar. Her research advances mathematics teaching and learning in the Caribbean, creating projects such as numbers in engineering and science, advancing Caribbean teachers. She also plays a great academic role in its great STEM education. A champion of culturally relevant and innovative pedagogies, Dr. George is dedicated to making mathematics accessible, meaningful, and enjoyable to learn. Even if you're not joining us yet, you can also look out for us. Say as no problem. So I'm sure you will have observed, and thank you very much. Um, this is true. Over the years, we have made some changes along the way with this whole concept. So essentially, there's this metamorphosis, if you want to call it that, between STEM, STEAM, and STREAM, where we have added some letters along the way. For instance, as we move from STEM, we added arts to create STEAM and then STREAM. Now this great um, it has been bounded about in so many different ways. For example, some scholars have indicated that algorithm in robotics, whereas other scholars will have indicated that we are in reading and writing and visual literacy. And even after this, have particularly read research work where the art was proposed to be relationships. And I found that article quite interesting simply because in the new world where technology will not take over basically relationships, that is an important component of economic development, social development, the development of social skills, and our students being digital literate in itself. So we have to actually examine in determining how we allocate STEM schemes stream, what the goal basically of education is. And basically, what we attempt to do as educators, and it's always nice to be fulfilled in the components of education, where we actually want to ensure that we equip our citizens with the skills that will allow them to solve the challenges of everyday human problems. Now, I think the most important component here is the issue of human problems because we have created a wide range of problems and the human race have evolved, but we have to equip our new citizenry with the power and the ability to resolve those human problems. However, especially within the Caribbean context, there's this limitation of knowledge and expertise and resources. And I sat and smiled when I heard about the allocation of resources. And had to be a little cautious here because I'm the director of education. But guess what? I'm an educator at heart. And I know the value and the importance of having resources if we are going to do some of the great things that we say we want to do. When we think of mainstreaming STEM STEAM and stream within our primary and secondary school context, we have to look at some very important issues that we have to tackle. Because many times there are ugly voices and there are great sound bites, that pass through our radios and our television sets and all that. But when it comes to actually tackling the real issue that will allow us to include STEM STEAM or training within our classrooms, that's the general question in the conversation. Because that deliberate integration of curriculum development is integral if we are going to ensure that STEAM, stream, STEM is going to be part of the conversation within our classrooms. That teacher education, that component is important. Professional development, that capacity building. But guess what? Our educators must also want that capacity building or want to utilize that capacity building for what? Because many times we have those excellent conferences and workshops, and then we go back into the classroom and go back to school and we do what we are accustomed to doing. And that real change that is needed at the grassroots level, it is not done. But then again, who's influencing and monitoring and evaluating such programs? That kinds of community development, that goes hand in hand. Because if you're talking about STEM education and STEAM and STREAM, then it means that that collaboration between the community and what's happening at the school level, that is important. But what's happening, that collaboration hands-on learning that is required, that is managed, the community and the business sector and the business sector. And obviously, I would back resource allocation. Because in order, especially if we are going to look at the great power as being some kind of robotics and we talk about technology, that resource allocation is very important. So many times that collaborative efforts and that cohesion that is required and the situation where our schools must actually inspire students to explore those disciplines, that is something that we need to look at and we have to ensure that it actually happens. Now, there are many barriers obvious to mainstreaming, and we have to look at what some of the challenges are. And first off, as usual, we talk about the lack of resources. Because if we are going to talk about some of the technological development that would be required for implementing STEM or STEAM or STREAM within our classrooms, then that equipment lab, the teaching staff, those things are going to be important if that is our end goal. Again, we speak about capacity building, curriculum constraints, and standardized testing. You see, many times we say we want to see innovations in education, but at the end of the day, we also want to be very well with the whole standardized testing. And our standardized testing is static. The issue of technology and the issue of diversity, there's nothing static about that. So how do you marry standardized testing with the realities of wanting a different system where we are talking about the arts and we are talking about the great how we have funded. And because my presentation is going to be a little focused on TVET education and vocational education training, we have to look at the issue of vocational education and training is viewed as less prestigious than academics. So whereas people are happy when we talk about science and math, and we talk about those components, when we speak to things of Tibet and how technical educational training, how that will impact economic development and social will, but we still feel that it is less glamorous. I remember living with my children and I like to bring in my personal narratives in the book. I have three children, obviously, and my husband and I are educators. But they all went to some crazy places. My first son is an athlete who really that is what that is going to be his path. He's a professional athlete. He gets up, he goes run up and down, then he goes to college, then he goes back and down again. Then in the evening he does strength training and all that. And I'm like, wow, how much are you worth? Wow. And my daughter decided she was going to become a chef. And I thought the girl was going to be a little doctor because it was just all those nice sciences or whatever. And I said, okay, I have a doctor in the house. But she became a chef. Guess what? Food server, she's also a teacher. I guess she did something. And my last son, when he left secondary school, I said to him, you must become this teacher. I was like, I'm no longer. And he said, no, he's an operator. Black hole. Yes, sir. He's making more money than us. Education, and however we do it having less than years, it is more lucrative. So we have to revisit. But guess what? It starts with us in the classroom. Because many times you get teachers as early as kindergarten and grade one and grade six, and we get them telling the children, what would you like to become? I want to say a doctor. I want to be a regional understanding. So we are actually determining our destiny in itself by our own actions. And then we complain about the electric teacher. If you associated with teachers in the future. But how does people connect the broader whole of our paradigm? What our paradigm was for? Because the population, they have similar and good survival, good strategy and people that social development. They have. But we are very slow because we still have that this thing in our heads that when our children get up in the morning and to the jacket and tie and work, then they have not accomplished much. Really, that's not control with those dirty and shoes and one like yeah. And those dirty clothes that I have to wash separately. We don't see them as being accomplished. But we see our children who, come with their jackets and tie and getting criticized about what they so it's challenged. On the difference. Out for space and really got experiences of feeling in the stream. People walking to a room. And one is heavy boots, dirty shoes, his pants and everything. One, rather than time, even with words. And we have to that connection the ones there and the ones here. Those are where my husband was like, well, we're not doing anything here. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, but internet. Just like,
No, it's not the opportunities here, share reasons, and the potential here here. But we are not seeing that as an end goal or as a real goal. So it means that as we currently in the town, we need to see the diversified and we need to see the value of different fields. And the importance and essential components for overcoming more of the ability. But guess what? Educators, we must support that with an option. Otherwise, we will remain as we are. And we will so long to say we have been trying out some out of that game that we have realized that we can make a difference and it comes to that. And team-based education is not just an educational strategy, but we have to look at it as a pillar for Caribbean development and sustainable development. But how does Tibet intersect with those pillars for STEM stream? For instance, with science and engineering in the technical subject, we have to look at that because we have to push our children for issues or career paths in electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, industrial design. Let me industrial design, that's where we are going. Basically, for technology, IT, robotics, digital literacy. You see, right now, Industry 4.0, as it is now, and that is the fourth industrial revolution as we look at it, because we have moved into the technological realm, we have also developed product plans for that. So we have to prepare our children for backwards and of digital literacies and careers associated with that is typical to STEAM stream and STEM. Mathematics, I don't propose to do much. Like I notice that I'm very happy that we have an individual who's coming to speak to mathematics. Asking myself every single time, and every opportunity I get, especially if they're six brothers, I ask, why are we doing the same thing, knowing that we are going to fail at the same thing? Why do we keep testing our students on a wide body of knowledge in one place at one sitting when we know that people are going to fail? Why do we talk about that? One point in time, the other one's using geometry and whatever, sorry. One we spoke a little bit about ours, the great debate on these stars. So, linking, we have to link Tibet through the lens of STEM chemistry. Because many times when people think of Tibet educator, they never think of STEM. Do you think about it? If you think of Tibet, the steam or stream coming to your mind. I mean, there's not a natural linkage between the two, but we have to link it. And really be at the center, and starting at the very center. And I, I'm going to take a breath, I know. I'm going to see right away, I know that I am set to be responsible for making those changes, but guess what? If they don't believe, they have to believe. And belief is one thing. Action
Wins.
must accompany that belief. Because governmental institutional support is integral at the epicenter of those changes that we require. If it is our goal to ensure that our schools are representative of safety and streams, we need to build a workforce for the future. Bear in mind that we are already learning the game and we have to work it out now. And we have to align education with national goals. You know, many times there is great soundbites about what we hope to achieve and what those national goals are. But how aligned is our education system to those national goals? You know, we want many things and we say that we want things, but when it comes to the grassroots effects and impact and development of those national goals, we have to demand that our education system, we have to align our educational practice to those national goals. Otherwise, they will remain great somewhere and we will not achieve anything from it. Essentially, the future of education, we have to look at the emerging trends and we have to work toward those emerging trends. We have to highlight those global trends in education and we have to see how education and how the experience is impacted by what's happening out there because we are impacted. We are losing our teachers, we are losing our writers and readers' minds in the process because we have not created an environment that will allow them to stay. You know, they are willing to give them to allow them to stay. Don't tell my boss said so. We also have to create opportunities for growth. Even within CXC, I believe in CXC. I was a CXC moderator for many years. I think that the Caribbean, we need what is our own. And CXC, we have to have a primary relationship out there when it comes to what we can be able to grow on our own. But the kind of us is that we're building what we are offering and aligning those offerings to the emerging trends out there so that our people can be more prepared for what. So I was about to say what this when I shift my mind, what's now? What is here? What is now? Streets are close after obviously that the stakeholders education. And I'm speaking of why really stakeholders, what was the parents. And I'm very glad you location. So when I sit at the table of the policymakers, I expect you to pitch my fruits. And I expect you to tell me that we need those things.
No problem.
So when I cannot sit basically at the head table, I can sit in the back. Don't tell them what it's right. This kind of this thing that was not the Now, so we need to actually advocate for investments in students in the we must advocate for that. If you want to very easy we'll integrate what is happening because our classrooms will be segmented. Each teacher will get that kind what we are doing. We are sharing and we are iterating on the together. We have to be great sharers and great doers. And we have to start to work together. You can act like you will if we are not working together, so work with and forward. We need to do that. And now shall what I believe in. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Reed. Before we bring on the students as well, please for any questions regarding the process. Don't be trying to something just appreciate the
Good comments. It's interesting about students, education, in the Caribbean. Because 10, 15 years ago, children were really treated as the last year of the education system. Because you were sending the student to those that were really well the children subjects. Yeah, well, yes. So it's serious. But we don't show the opportunity of technical. Yeah. We need network this year. Different streams are provided for students in the facility. The
Send
second
it to
point
me.
that I want to give as a reason, STEM stream. And it's interesting how this thing is evolving, but I noticed that it's like one of your sons have an affinity for sports. And I'm asking the question, where does sports fit in all of that? Particularly from the standpoint that the Caribbean is known for their sports courts. And where is investment in the sporting infrastructure in our schools? And we know that our the opportunity is to develop that evolution because the government and the Caribbean might be treated natural. Yes, when there's going to come a point in time when the world turns up on us because we don't implement it again. You don't spoke from this issue to understand. Yeah, so you don't implement it. Within that context, there's a need to invest in sports infrastructure so that students are provided with the opportunity that we develop. That's a system. That's
Listen, maybe I will have to invite you over for dinner someday. When you don't get me started on the story of sports education and the investment in sports, because I know exactly what it is. The only time we are interested in sports is when they are all young. Like, especially when you fail stuff, many times you also do in that circle, that's where it matters most. Because many things don't even naturally sense. So we give you common skills. Um, Once the grassroots level, then we lose talents that we don't even know exist. So what we see is all remember that I'm lost it along the way, and I think investments. I always say, anyway, don't get me started on the sports story. Talking about the question is serious, there's a lot of was I thinking of that very
So, very wonderful session that I had. For example, if I assume that only bringing about short Caribbean public subject first, only economics and work. That was the foundation for now, and it's the start of the talent. How many persons of home economics? You got these persons from hotel, bunch stuff with the restaurants and different things. And one we have done from Caribbean to the community of education and academic conference and parents, and since so that we have, that we speak about our national development. To me, there is no always plans or political will for governments and ministries of education we change education and modify so often and so quickly as we change political and change text. There is no long-term national development goal.
I have to kill this stream.
Confliction. So we not really want
Yeah,
to make
yeah.
and now
We can see.
construct because we love to take from we take something from this today.
That's
It's only when we go to the
yes.
then we go first.
Okay.
And first,
Kill his stream and create a new one again. See if it comes up right.
maybe some here, really close. So,
You have CPA and looking for parents in school when you just feel well because of political will get everybody to student and second from primary to secondary. Some also have the parents moving away from primary to secondary and leaving third boys and secondary. So just using where the current desktop. And this is some of national responsibility and these are some things unfortunately the teachers see price for
You see, as stakeholders in education, you have to find your place in the conversation, and that's where it's going to make a difference. Because I believe that if the people ask and strongly ask for it, the politicians will come up with action. So you have to demand your place in the conversation, and that's what's going to make a difference. And until we do that, like moving and as a team, because many times we are working by ourselves. We need to do it as a group in there. You require lots of people and find that conversation we have.
I'm very lovely about this say. I took like 5 years away from the movement. Upon returning, I realized that other people were having difficulty with non-government, but with compromising institution and sports kind of reference from union came to. One of the things that I figured out, I figured with some students through on the street is that every time we talk, we have the very same experiences. We're in different islands and we have the very same challenges. But one of the things I wanted to add, um, in jest, but perhaps there's some seriousness to it. When you colleague at the back said asked about the place of sport, we like adding letters. So instead of stream, we add streams. So the S now becomes at the end of stream, and we attach sports in education, how we want some alligator. So you can remove that with it. We're gonna now freeze.
And then you also put in
2024. Sure. Yeah.
from one I couldn't say that I'm totally spies to by letter being of my existence in the British Northern Islands. I think one thing the native agreement, I don't think because I think that it is used to not to encourage progression, but it is used to just trap the teachers into a line of working and call words and so forth. I have a messy mentality, so yeah. Um, same for me is that requirement of integration. And we have to look at what we're doing in education and not follow what some of the news teachers use something as in order to guide something that they were doing. I think in America, they were used to use throughout the science and going to what things and we'll try to know what. If you have to look at the mechanics of the whole STEM and stream, we have to see it as science. What is science? In what is science? What give me one word that would be science? Huh? Matter is um I want to form the knowledge. Deal with knowledge. And we do that from the point of science being technology will be your focus. Engineering would be the application of those tools, and mathematics would be your quantitative communication. Is that you apply that technology
I mean, that's that answer to everything you teach. And you are automatically successful because you bring a fuller understanding of life. I'm glad you did not get because in my research, the R is writing and reading.